Bluecoats, how are you doing?
Yes!
I love you more. I have a simple question, and then we're going to show you a little bit of a video clip, and then I'm going to introduce my friend, our legend, and then we're going to have some fun. And my question is really simple. Now, when I was a kid, it would have been, how many of you watched the PBS broadcast? You know, the history of broadcasting drum corps, it used to be live and on PBS every year forever. And then there was a stint where it was on ESPN. Now it's Blu-rays, DVDs. But if I were to ask you just one simple question, how many of you watching or listening to this on a Blu-ray, a DVD, a Cinecast, something like that, played a role in you wanting to be a part of drum corps? Raise your hand if that applies to you. Oh, so like literally everybody sitting in the room. That's exactly what I figured. That's how we found, for many of us, that's how we found this. We didn't all grow up in it. Some of us had to find this. And that Cinecast or that broadcaster, the first time a friend put in a DVD and said, let me play this for you. You remember that feeling. Well, this friend of mine is the person that has been creating those memories for us for decades. And we're going to show you a quick snippet, and then I'm going to bring him up here, and we're going to get going. So let's show the first minute and a half.
Roll, take track. Stand by Steve's mic. Ready VT red with your opening scene set. Ready red, ready Steve. Roll red. Stand by on camera, stand by 9.
Live from Indianapolis, welcome to the 2015 Drum Corps
Ready,
International
10.
World Championships.
Okay, 3, wide shot of 3 solos on the right side.
Ready, cross the blue.
15.
And cross the blue, roll.
Hello again, everybody. Steve Rondinero, delighted to be back in that DCI air chair once again. I haven't seen this season.
My name is Tom Blair. I'm the producer and executive producer of the DCI World Championship broadcasts. Our mission is and always has been to try to make DCI and drum and bugle corps look exceptional to the world. The whole process really starts a few months out. There's a lot of logistics involved, finding the right truck, getting the proper equipment in place, that kind of thing. But then the real important work comes when the corps start competing. We travel around and we watch the drum corps, we make notes on the drum corps, we talk to people, we spend time with the staff that teach the drum corps. We're trying to learn what it is they're trying to put on the field. Because if we understand what they're trying to do, then we can capture it the best way we can and bring it to the audience at home.
So in my other life, by the way, if I haven't met you, hi, I'm the program coordinator. Yeah, all that means is I get to sit in a room with the smartest people in the world and just be like fangirl in chief. All right, so and then I get to be your biggest fan during the season. But my day job, I'm an orchestra director in Avon, Indiana. And I don't even know if he remembers this, but 15 some years ago, I got to sit in a control room with Tom while he was calling, directing, producing an live orchestral performance of the Honor Orchestra of America performing Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet. And I was sent down there, like, bring your score, and we just want to make sure that it's musical, that he calls it. We want it to be like PBS broadcast. One measure in, I never had to say a word. And I've known Tom for a long time, but watching this man conduct a broadcast of an orchestral performance, I had goosebumps, I had tears. He intuitively knew what was coming, just like he does on this. There's a science to this, there's an art to this. I have been screaming from the rooftops for years. I think he is one of the most important storytellers and ambassadors for our activity. And I know he hates that I keep talking about him because he doesn't like being a legend, but he is. And I want to bring him up here so we can learn a little bit more about him. Will you please welcome to the stage DCI Hall of Famer and our legend for the day, Mr. Tom Blair. Hi. Here you are. Yeah, so And this is a big deal for me. I grew up in Chicago. I marched in the Cavaliers. Tom is kind of the Cavaliers. And since I was a high school kid, I've just been infatuated with his work. Before we get into questions, we're going to keep playing this video. And I'm going to have, and it kind of goes just way deep behind the scenes of how this all works. But we're going to leave his microphone live so that Tom can kind of give you some insight while we're doing that. Is that cool? All right, let's go.
3, weapon toss, left side wide,
Ready,
7
one.
seconds.
Take one.
I'm John Flower. I am the Associate Director for all of the DCI World Championship video products under Tom Blair, Inc. Depending on who's in the chair next to me, I may be helping with the timing of a show on the Cinecast. Typically making sure that we don't run long is the big thing that I'm doing, so I'm assisting Tom in that regard. When the corps are actually on the field performing, I kind of turn to my right, and I'm working with one of our directors, either Jeff Clark or Mike Mabbitt, and I'm assisting them in a variety of manners. Most importantly, I'm assisting them in getting the cameras to the positions that the directors need them to be, or at least attempting to. The kids work on these shows for the entire summer. Our crew only gets 3 chances to perfect not just one 11-minute show, but 25 11-minute shows. So it's a lot of note taking on their part, and Mike and Jeff's part, and then I try to facilitate getting the cameras in the position where the directors want them to be. Each show I'm saying, camera 4, left 25-yard line snares, something like that. Camera 2, right 35 bass drums. I'm just trying to use that type of language. I'm not the one that should be speaking, it's the director. So I want to make my point, say it, and get out of their way as quickly as possible, because it's really the director and the camera operators are the ones, they're doing the dance, they're creating the product. I'm just there to sort of set the plate for them and get out of their way.
I'm Jeff Clark, and I direct the Top 12 drum corps. Throughout the summer, we go to drum corps shows, kind of get comfortable understanding the shows, and I try to go as a fan and not be thinking about the camera positions and how I'm going to cover something, but I just can't help myself. Come around San Antonio, Atlanta, the regionals, we'll travel down, we'll record on our iPhones just in the voice memo, and we'll almost make like a tape like we're talking to the camera guys, and then I'll transcribe that, and that's what the assistant director is reading.
Quads now, and then 2-5, trumpets, rifles, and sabers on the right side. Back to 4 on mallets after that.
To the right side, 2.
Everything's broken down with the time, what camera we want, what the event is, whether it's trumpets, mellows, saber toss, and the location. And I'd say we have about 6-7 pages of notes for a 12-minute show.
5, here comes the truss
Ready,
fall.
3. Take 3. Ready, 5. Take 5.
And then 4 and 3, horns left 35, and then 2 and 5, horns
Ready,
on the
2.
right side.
Take 2.
So the assistant director, he presets the cameras. He's reading my notes about 5 to 10 seconds ahead of the event actually happening, and the camera guys are hearing his voice in their left ear, and then they're hearing my voice in the right ear actually calling the camera shots.
This is a little example of it happening live with Bluecoats that week. Picture yourself as a cameraman trying to listen to one in one ear, one in the other ear, and figure out what the heck they're talking about. So each camera, if you see the little green line up there, that's the camera that's actually on the air. Okay, so as a director, you're watching all the individual cameras, not so much what the actual product is, but you want to see everybody ready as soon as they can. So ready 4 would be, that's about to go on the air. Ready, ready, ready. You'll see the green line move over.
2, high brass right side.
Ready, 3. Take 3.
2, high brass right side next to 10.
Ready, 2. Take 2.
And 2 and 6, rifle feature on the chairs. Ready, 45.
Ready, 1. Take 1.
5 and 3, high brass rifles in the shot.
2 on the chairs, just the rifles. 3, I have both the trumpets and the rifles, the shots. Ready, 2. Take 2.
And 5 and 3, high brass rifles.
You don't want to spend a lot of time looking at camera 5. You get very seasick.
Take 3. Hold there. And push.
Which is the one on the arm?
That's 6.
6?
It's called a jib.
Jib.
Is what we call it. It's a handheld camera just hanging on a 25-foot arm. You want to talk about a physical thing, swinging that baby around? So that gives you a pretty good idea of what we're doing. I want to just take a second and introduce Jeff Clark, who's with us. That's who's directed.
And it is mind-boggling. I've been, whether it's up in the booth or you see what they do in the truck, and even when you go on air at this Cinecast, it is the most intimidating thing in the world. Because you put the headphones on and you hear dead air in one ear and you hear some of the other stuff, and then like the voice comes on, and it's Tom. Like, hi Dean, we're about to go on. And you're gonna do, yeah. And then like everything becomes okay. He's got like this NPR radio voice. And so, Tom, let me ask you, with everything, and they've seen, I mean, name a production, whether it's the Final Four, which the One Shining Moment, that was kind of your baby, right? You know how they do the big montage at the end of the Final Four? How different is the real world of what you do with your production company compared to what we just saw?
You know, the difference for me is I'm more passionate about this, frankly. I mean, I started doing drum corps in 1974. So this has been something that I've been involved with my entire life.
Well, tell them like what you played and where you marched so that they can love on you.
Well, let's see. The first thing was a drum and baton corps called the Taylor Troubadours. I carried a 29-inch timpani. You actually used to carry timpani. It's like, how stupid were we? So I did that, and then I was in the Glassman briefly, played second bass, and so I'm always on the upbeat.
Yeah.
And then I went to Cavaliers and played snare.
Awesome. Now, I want to move this at a fast clip because we have such a short time and we need to keep going. So I'm going to jump to the question I've been dying to ask, and then if somebody wants to jump in, and I'm just going to go straight here because we could do history and work it up, and I know you have stories, but I want to get to a Bluecoats thing. The activity, the look of the activity changed somewhat drastically in 2016, and I think we played a role in that. We took the hats off, and the wink happened. Right? And that show. And I would love if you could just comment either on that experience, because for me what was fun about it is it wasn't this staged thing. There was an authenticity to it. And how that has changed, like when you're talking to performers, that they're performing now for the audience, for the camera, just maybe talk a little bit about how things have changed, specifically that.
Well, back in the day, if you will, when I first started doing this, there was a guy named Bob Brisky. You remember Bob? Mm-hmm. And I had to keep my cameras a certain distance from the performers. And if I didn't, he'd grab the camera cable and yank them back. So you'd be looking at a camera and suddenly it's shooting the sky.
At DCI.
At the championship. And that wink was really just the greatest thing because, as you said, it just happened.
Yeah.
And we were in the right place at the right time. And I mean, we were going to be on him because he was playing that unbelievable screaming solo. And he did it on Thursday night. And as far as I know, it's the first time he ever did it.
He did. And then we had a meeting afterwards, and we were adamant. We didn't know it blew up on social media. Our first reaction was like, don't do that.
Well, but I'm sitting in the truck on Friday night, and I'm saying, don't do the wink. Don't
no,
wink.
We told him not to.
Don't wink, because it would have made it would taken it to a whole lower level.
We literally had that conversation, and then you were in luck because we weren't very good that night, and so I would have run out of the field and punched him in the eye before he could wink. I would not have done that. No, but it's like, it was that same thing. We actually used that same, we talked to him and we said that was so cool, and our phones were like blowing up.
Yeah,
and we're like, don't do it tomorrow, because now it feels like this staged I wink thing. And then Saturday we just said, whatever feels right, do that.
And on Saturday, that cameraman, that's camera 4.
Waited forever.
Well, in the camera meeting, there's a great picture, and if I knew you wanted to talk about this, I would have brought it. But somebody made up a little sign that it said "wink here."
Yeah.
And it had an arrow pointing at the cameraman. So he didn't actually wear it on the field, but it was
And now we see an activity that it's so much more, you can connect to the performer. I'm sure as a director now, you can look for such intimate close-up moments where guard used to provide you a ton of those opportunities,
Right.
but now when you see a brass moment or an awesome snare drum feature, you can see the facial expressions. That really has probably changed the game a little.
And I agree with that completely. It's opened it up on an emotional level, and some of that tight stuff is really much more dramatic now. And it's hard to get that live because frankly, it's just dangerous to count on having that shot. You listen to how much direction we have to create in order to get all that stuff captured. But to try to get some of those little nuanced things that you see ultimately on the Blu-ray, that's edited, and that's edited for weeks.
Meticulously.
Yeah.
If you're not a Blu-ray person, those are, I tell the vets know this, I say that's my trophy every year. Like the ring, the whatever, that gets dust. I don't even know where my championship rings are. But the DVDs, the Blu-rays, and he spends months.
Well, and don't say he, because
the team.
It is, if you learn anything in drum corps that you can apply to the rest of the world, it's nothing gets done that's great by yourself.
Well said.
Television is like the ultimate team sport because there's audio, there's video, there's videotape, there's announcers, and they all have to be coordinated and molded into that final product. So if you take away anything from drum corps, it's all about the team, and it's all about working with people and finding out ways to bring out the best in other people.
Yeah, you do that very well, my friend. We have time for, I know we got to get to lunch soon, but I want to max this out. So I can take a couple of questions from members, by two, and then I want to get some closing words of wisdom from Tom to the performers as we get ready to put on a show tomorrow for you. So question in the back.
So with drum corps right now, really the only way to see those professional tapes is on DVDs. Why have we not moved to an online platform where these videos are accessible to more people?
It's challenging on multiple levels, and just to be clear, I'm not the expert on that. I'm an independent producer, and so that's kind of DCI's thing. I create it and I give it to them. Mm-hmm. But on part of those discussions, it's been technically a challenge, but the huge elephant in the room is music licensing. And the amount of money that DCI has had to spend on music licensing is just staggering. It's absolutely staggering. So that's a big part of it. And that's a big part of it, because as soon as you create, like, we licensed all of the Bluecoats from 2019 for the Blu-ray. That's as far as it goes. You don't get to use it anywhere else. It's licensed for the Blu-ray. You want to put it on the web, it's another license. For us to put it in the show tomorrow night is another license. And every time you're paying the same kind of money. So that's just been the killer.
And I can speak, I spent 2 years as the director of education for Bands of America. If you're from a BOA program, because this is drum corps with X amount. With them, where there's 90-some bands at Grand Nationals and all the super, and they have to do that exact same thing. It is a logistical nightmare.
I've been doing this long enough that they really didn't do a very good job of it when I first started. And you kind of did whatever you wanted to do.
And now it's...
But now you just don't do that.
Okay, we got time for one more. What you got?
What brought you to the position you're in now, kind of like on your career path? Like what jobs did you take before you're in?
Well, there's been a lot, and a lot of it happened simultaneously. I aged out in 1980. And in 1980, I was like sort of everybody is on the internet. Why can't this be better? My favorite is, why can't they get somebody to produce this who knows something about drum corps? Okay, 1974, you do the math. So when I aged out, I was driven to do this, to do it better. And so at the same time, I was developing my professional broadcasting career. And I've done a couple of major shows in my life. And
that Oprah lady.
Yeah. Don't want to run into her in the stairway in the morning, let me tell you. But it was all kind of happening at the same time. In like 1985, it was funny how it happened. They sort of snuck me into the back bench of the truck. And I'm sitting in the back going, show the snares. Why are you on the brass? Why are you on the front sideline? And then I moved to like the second bench the next year, and I was the guy telling the director, show the snares. But of course, it's not the same. If you're in that chair, you've got to make instantaneous choices. You've got to make instantaneous decisions. And if you don't know drum corps, then you're not equipped to do that. It's not like they didn't care, it's just they didn't have the background. So in 1987, they finally said, here's the keys. And I've been in that role ever since 1987, with the exception of a little 4-year hiatus when DCI was kind of, lost.
Yep.
And I was out, and then I came back in '99.
And then the group I was writing for won the year you came back, and I gave you credit. I told all the Vanguard that year, I was like, Tom Blair's why we won.
As it should.
No, it was just a great camera shots.
Yeah, exactly. Because all the judges were watching the monitor. Yeah. So anyway, that's it's sort of that drive, and I'm tongue in cheek because I don't like to talk about it, but Wimbledon, Super Bowls, Masters. I've done a lot of pretty high-end sports stuff, and I've learned the standard for broadcasting in that environment. But it's really the standards and the pursuit of excellence that I learned in drum corps that have been the key to my success on all levels. So take this with you when you leave.
All right, last one's from me. I don't know how how you or DCI came to the place where, as this activity comes back, that you're here. But I know every single one of us feels so thankful that we get to be, because we get to feel like we get to be part of the ambassador team now, helping to bring this activity back. Just a few words you could give us. What can we do tomorrow night when this broadcast is happening, through our performance, through our spirit, through our energy, to make it the best thing we can for the activity, for you, for your team?
I think the public wants to know that it's real, that what you're going to put out there is going to be the kind of quality that we're used to from drum corps and certainly from the Bluecoats. But I think the enthusiasm and the excitement to be doing this again, and we may be able to grab a couple of you and ask a one-question interview or something. No. But are you excited to be doing this? Yeah. I mean, oh my God, right? I mean, we've been denied this thing that we love for entirely too long, and for all the right reasons. I think all the decisions that had to be made, there was nothing else that we could have done. But I'm so excited to be in this position and to be doing something like this. I don't know how the Bluecoats don't convey the kind of energy and enthusiasm that you always do. I don't think that's possible for you to do anything less, because that's who you are. But if you wanted me to answer the question directly, I'd say it's, hey, just sell it. Yeah. We're here, we're back, and you love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an activity that can be so easily motivated by extrinsic things, and so many of us find the joy intrinsically in music. And I just see tomorrow such an opportunity that just to perform and to show off and to have fun. And we so appreciate you giving us that opportunity, and I even more appreciate, because the dude is in meetings nonstop. So for Tom to give up 30 minutes right now before a high-stakes broadcast to be with us, I know it means to you what it means to me. Our legend next week will be Ralph Hardiman, but this is the legend I wanted to start with going into this broadcast so that we could learn from him, welcome him into our family, and get ready to be the best we can be. Can we have a round of applause for Mr. Tom Blair? Dude, they're sweet. The drum corps kids, I don't run into a lot of drum corps kids from anywhere.